Hey guys, and welcome back to Goalside. Before we begin, don't forget to participate in our lottery and stand a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is like our video, subscribe to our channel, and write the hidden message you'll find later in the video in the comments. Good luck, and may the odds be forever in your favour. When it comes to executing outrageous skills with a lot of swag and flair, we've been lucky to see some mad stuff from Neymar. From nutmegging to the no-look pass, to the 360, to that rainbow flick that earned him a caution, the Brazilian superstar is, dare we say, perhaps the most unique trickster in the footballing world today. We are truly living in an amazing era where we get to see some of the most skillful players around the world wooing us, week in, week out. The likes of Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mo Salah, and others have been stealing the show and making the game so much fun to watch for several years. The thing about showboating in a game is that it can go both ways. Either a player is able to make it work and get the adulation of fans around the world and the ire of the opponent, or the player might make a fool of himself and become a laughingstock. This is the reason why most of the players avoid getting too comfortable on the ball and mostly prefer keeping things simple. Yes, you might see a few shimmies here and there, or even a 360 turn, but that is a rare sight. However, if there's one player who doesn't really like doing things the normal way, that is Neymar. The Paris Saint-Germain star simply loves to do insane stuff during games, so we thought it'd be really nice to showcase some of the most amazing stuff the Seleção star has done during his career, among other things. As always, the list could have been huge, so we've tried to put together some of the greatest and perhaps most shocking moves made by Neymar Jr. in his career. Play acting in Europe. When he started out in the Champions League at Barcelona, things were not easy for Neymar. The youngster was, at that time, relatively new to a different approach towards football. There were many instances where Neymar struggled to impose himself on the pitch like many expected he would. And when things didn't work out, the Brazilian would cut a frustrated figure. And out of those frustrations, Neymar did something that he's been accused of since then. In a Champions League game against Celtic, Neymar went to the ground and made a big fuss out of the fact that Scott Brown had flicked him with his boot, even though there was little to no contact. However, the referee decided to give the Scotsman his marching orders. It was definitely not a great thing to see on TV, and the Brazilian attracted the ire of many managers, including Jose Mourinho, who went on to say, "I have told the players many times, I hate it. It is very bad, and the search of a red card for another player is a disgrace." While no one can ever deny Neymar's talents, it is clear that his proclivity to play act doesn't make him the most liked player on the planet. That insane goal for Santos and impressing in Tokyo. Back in 2011, Neymar was the most talked about footballer on the planet. The young forward had the world at his feet, and his dazzling skills were becoming quite a thing in Europe. Several clubs were eager to get their hands on one of the most talented players coming out of Brazil in recent memory. The likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona were vying for that elusive signature. In the midst of this transfer speculation, Neymar was focused on doing well for Santos, and in October 2011, the youngster came up with a performance that would add more to an already burgeoning reputation. Neymar scored all 4 goals in a 4-1 thumping of Atlético Paranaense, and that goal was something that would convince the chasing pack that paying over the odds for the precocious talent would be absolutely worth it. In the same year, Santos played Barcelona in the Club World Cup final, which was basically a game that would give the Spanish club's fans a chance to see a player they were rumoured to be getting close to signing. And though Pep Guardiola's men gave Santos an absolute hiding, Neymar's skills were pretty obvious. Following the defeat, the young Brazilian admitted that he'd just played against the best team in the world. Heartbreak at the Maracanã. The 2014 World Cup was going to be the defining moment of Neymar's career, with Brazil hosting the tournament and being considered as one of the favourites to lift their 6th title. The onus was on the then Barcelona man to inspire Seleção to their 2nd World Cup crown of the new century. Indeed, Brazil started fairly well and reached the semi-final of the competition. However, before that humiliating defeat at the hands of eventual champions Germany, something happened that completely changed the course of history. In the quarter-final win over Colombia, Neymar suffered a serious back injury following a nonsensical Juan Zuniga challenge. As the youngster was lying down, writhing in pain, it had become quite obvious that the walls were closing on the national team. Without their talismanic leader, Brazil were completely all over the place and crashed out of the tournament in embarrassing fashion. Neymar could only watch from the stands as his team conceded 7 goals against Joachim Löw's men. This was the moment where it had become clear that Brazil would be lost without Neymar. First Clásico. Before he arrived at Barcelona in the summer of 2013, Neymar knew that everything he did for the La Liga giants would eventually be measured by how he performed against bitter rivals Real Madrid, a club that was also very close to signing him. Games against the capital club never straightforward affairs, and in the first Clásico of the 13-14 season, Neymar showed that it was the perfect stage for him to showcase his worth to millions of people glued to their screens, watching the great spectacle. Barcelona won that encounter 2-1, and Neymar scored the opening goal after receiving a pass from Andrés Iniesta. However, before the game ended, Neymar came up with a sumptuous pass to set up Alexis Sanchez. Clearly this is a player who was born for moments like these. That goal against Rayo Vallecano. While Neymar did score some truly amazing goals at Barcelona, one goal that will live long in the memory of La Blaugrana's fans would be the one he scored against Rayo Vallecano in February 2014. With Barcelona already leading 5-0, Neymar received the ball from the halfway line and went about on a run where he would shrug off challenges before unleashing a ripper of a shot from 25 yards out beyond the Rayo goalkeeper. That was the Brazilian international's 12th goal of his first season in Europe. By the end of the season, Neymar had 15 goals to his name, and although his overall goal tally wasn't that good, the moments he provided throughout his debut season pretty much ended all debate about the forward not being good enough to play for the Catalonian Giants. Destroying Bayern Munich. The 2014-15 season was a huge one for Neymar and Barcelona as the Spanish Giants went on to win the Champions League title. Neymar was perhaps one of the most pivotal parts of that squad, and it was the semi-final clash against Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich where the Brazilian blew us away with eye-catching performances in both legs. Ahead of the game, a lot was written about Bayern Munich being on a great run. However, the two games were going to be different as Barcelona ran out 5-3 winners on aggregate, with 3 of the goals coming from their star player. Neymar scored twice in Munich and scored another at the Camp Nou as Barcelona qualified for the final of their competition. That season, Bayern had only conceded 11 goals in 25 games at the Allianz Arena. The performance was pretty much the case of Neymar carrying from where he left off when he scored twice against Paris Saint-Germain in the previous round. In total, Neymar managed to score 10 in the Champions League that year. The Champions League final. Now that Bayern Munich were dispatched, it was another test in the final where Italian giants Juventus awaited Neymar and company. The old lady was in fine form too, so it was never going to be an easy outing for the Spanish giants. However, the final turned out to be yet another moment where Neymar would rise to the occasion and get the job done. After initially being denied a goal, Neymar would score a memorable goal in his team's 3-1 win in Berlin. The goal was a sweet one too, given that it was literally a classic Barcelona goal, a 1-2 with Pedro on the edge of the area, and then a shot that would whiz past Gigi Buffon and put the game to bed. PSG vs Belgrade. While he hasn't been that lucky when it comes to conquering Europe at Paris Saint-Germain, it is clear that Neymar is going to be the man who would help the cash-laden French giants to an elusive Champions League triumph. Back in 2018, Neymar delivered arguably his best performance for Les Parisiens in a 6-1 mauling of Red Star in Belgrade. This was the game where Neymar scored a hat-trick and is considered one of his best performances, largely due to the fact that PSG were playing on a terrible pitch against a team that was defending in numbers. Breaking down such huge teams is never an easy task, but the Brazilian was on another level that night. One of the 3 goals scored by the talented forward was a free kick that ignored the wall as if it was never there in the first place. Putting PSG to the sword. Since signing for Paris Saint-Germain, Neymar has made the Ligue 1 giants a global brand. It is safe to say that today, PSG should consider themselves the elites of the modern game. However, go back a few years and it was their marquee signing who would be the cause for their pains on a fateful night in the Champions League. It was the 2016-17 campaign and we were waiting for Barcelona and PSG to lock horns in the first leg of the Champions League last 16 in Paris. As it turned out, Neymar and company were thumped 4-0 by the Ligue 1 champions on a forgettable night for the Catalans. However, the second leg at Camp Nou would turn out to be a totally different scenario. PSG only needed to stay calm and not concede 5 goals. But destiny was calling for Neymar, and it was his brace that played a crucial role in providing one of the greatest comebacks of all time. Barcelona won the tie 6-5 on aggregate, and that performance prompted PSG's Qatari owners to go all out for the mercurial Brazilian. A couple of years ago, Neymar attracted the ire of the club's fans by saying that the comeback win at Camp Nou was one of his fondest memories. Leaving for PSG. PSG forked out €222 million to sign Neymar from Barcelona, but before that, it was one of the most protracted transfer sagas of all time. There were many instances when we thought that the move would fall through. When he was brought to Barcelona, Neymar was seen as the heir apparent to Lionel Messi. However, it became clear that the Brazilian needed to step out of the Great One's shadows and make his own path. But no one expected the forward to leave for PSG. The move was quite a bombshell, and no one really expected something to materialise. PSG were hell-bent on signing Neymar Jr., and they got their wish, and as a result, added a unique talent to their stable, a talent who would perhaps one day guide the club to Champions League glory.